was an all-star team from the ponytail league, but most of the girls on the all-star
Like they said, it's like within a couple of kilometers of who's the two
most of
died.
them were
1,200.
That's Pat.
Pat. What is this? Yeah, what's his name? He's like a real evangelical. No. Pat. Oh, everything. He said the Teletubbies were homosexuals.
I don't know who that is.
Who does the 700 Club?
700.
That's a TV
Pat.
show. I think we
Talked to you after we made it there a few months ago.
I don't remember his name. I can see him.
Also, her accuracy.
No, that was Jimmy Baker.
Oh, yeah.
That was Tammy Faye. Tammy Faye.
Yes, yeah. And she's very fast. Doesn't matter, she can't get it over the plate.
You can go as my guest. I think so. Mayor knows more than I.
No,
do.
you can
He can
pay
just-
you
she
can
can
pay
just
you
come
can
in?
make a reservation, pay your money.
That's what I planned. I didn't, that's when
Oh, okay.
I remember one.
I don't think you have to be specific.
It's not like Rotary where you have to be somebody's
No,
guest.
no, don't think so.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, a picture of that out.
Yeah, it's a Republican women's group.
And I said,
Republican women's group. Yeah.
and I was supposed to.
Keep the pot going.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I call to order the regular city council meeting for the city of Sierra Vista for July 26, 2018. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Mayor Rick Mueller,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Alicia Ash,
Present.
Councilmember Bob Blanchard, Councilmember Gwen Calhoun,
Present.
Councilmember Rachel Gray,
Present.
Councilmember Craig Mount,
Present.
Councilmember Christine Wolf.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. Tonight we'll start as usual with the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Tonight the invocation will be led by Chaplain Agent Dana Thornhill of the U.S. Border Patrol, Brian Terry Station, and our pledge will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Ash. Please rise.
Precious Lord, we just thank you for this evening and bringing us all here safely. Lord, we ask that you give wisdom to our council, wisdom to all of our leaders here in our great city. Lord, let this meeting accomplish something great for your glory. Bless us and keep us safe as we return home after the meeting. In your precious and holy name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Chaplain, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Ash. We'll now move on to item number 1, acceptance of the agenda. Ms. Wolf.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the agenda for the regular city council meeting of July 26, 2018 be approved.
Second.
Any additions or changes? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. We'll next move on to awards and presentations, and tonight we only have one, which is the City Council Business of the Month for July. And Ms. Ash and I are going to sneak around front.
For my final business of the month as a council member, I decided to continue with my theme of choosing a business on the West End. And for the month of July, I chose the Sierra Vista Co-op. And Pam is here to represent the co-op tonight. I believe that the Sierra Vista Food Co-op is the only place in town where you can get kombucha on tap. So if you're interested in kombucha, you can head down there. But what really makes me love the Sierra Vista Food Co-op is their commitment to social responsibility and their commitment to really bettering not only their customers' health, but the Sierra Vista community as a whole. So with that, I would like to hand over this plaque to Pam. also, if anybody has a question about what a co-op is and what we do, please feel free to ask. So what I've said here is, hi, my name is Pamela Chandler, and I'm the manager at the Sierra Vista Food Co-op. And thank you very much for voting for us. In addition, I'd also like to thank all the citizens of Sierra Vista and our board members who worked so hard for so many years to make an organic food co-op a reality in our beautiful town. I'd also like to thank our employees for all the hard work and dedication that they give on a daily basis. I'd like to thank all the owners who have invested in the co-op, and that investment drives us forward and helps us to keep working with and positively impacting our local community. And you know, really as a co-op, that really is part of our mission, is to be able to support local and also positively impact our environment. So really, what does that look like? Is it looks like classes that we have at the co-op. It also means going and giving lectures on what nutrition is, what GMOs are, what organic food is, and why it really matters to the food systems that our populations depend on. You know, all of these things are very important. And also, you know, the West End is also very much a food desert. And so having a co-op where we have organic fruits and vegetables, and we also have fresh juices available on demand, well, available probably two to three times a week. We have fresh juices and stuff. But, you know, having the education and having the food availability in the West End is also very important too. So we're happy to be here, and we thank you very much for the plaque.
We'll now go to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Mueller, members of the council. A number of items tonight. First, our next regularly scheduled work session is scheduled for August 7th, 3 p.m. here in the council chambers. Of course, then followed by the next regular meeting of August 9th at 5 p.m. also here in the council chambers. A reminder that the work session of August 21st and the meeting of August 23rd are canceled due to the annual League of Arizona Cities and Towns Conference. A number of projects tonight. First, the Charleston Road Wall Project. That notice was published this week, and the bid opening is scheduled for August 24th at 2 p.m. The Airport Architectural Engineering Professional Services solicitation was extended, and those statements of qualifications are due back on August 2nd. The Airport Planning Professional Services contract is also due on August 2nd. The Kings Court invitation for bids was published July 1st through 5th in the Herald Review, and again on July 15th in the Arizona Daily Star. The city will accept sealed bids until the opening on August 6, 2018 at 2 p.m., and we will entertain bids based on the estimated market value of $800,000. The airport refuelers and aviation fuel supplier contract was awarded to Epic Fuels on July 16th, with the contract to start on October 1st. And then the Animal Control Surgical Expansion Project was not awarded because the bids exceeded budget. Staff will go back and take a look at the scope and pare it down and try to get that project within budget, and then we will go back out to bid. Finally, as I announced on Tuesday, the Southeast Arizona Regional Communications Center, a joint project of Cochise County and the City of Sierra Vista, was stood up last Wednesday morning. So far, things are going very smoothly, and that's been about a 12-year project that I think will prove very good for public safety purposes for the greater Sierra Vista area and Cochise County in the future. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor Mueller.
Thank you, Mr. Patuchik. Any questions or discussion with Mr. Patuchik on this report? Seeing none, we'll move on then. The next item is the consent agenda. Mr. Mount.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I move that the consent agenda consisting of the City Council meeting minutes of June 28, 2018, Resolution 2018-052, the the acceptance of Norman Patton's resignation with regret, the appointment of James Howe to the Environmental Affairs Commission, said term to expire December 31st, 2019. Resolution 2018-053, the appointment of Ed Ruskowski and Anna Smith to the Tourism Commission, said terms to expire December 31st, 2020. And Resolution 2018-054, the appointment of Ryan Davis to the Commission of Cultural Diversity, said term to expire December 31st, 2019, be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. And those are going off commissions, I want to publicly thank you for your service as well. The next item is a public hearing item, item number 3, and I'll ask, doesn't require a vote, but I'll ask Victoria to give us a staff report before we open it up to a public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The proposed primary property tax levy rate is 11.36 per $100 of assessed value, meaning that a person with a home valued at $100,000 would pay $11.36 a year. This is the same rate the city levied in fiscal years 15, 16, 17, and 18. And this levy will generate an estimated $359,833 this fiscal year. This is an increase from $359,240 in fiscal year 18 and a decrease from fiscal year 17 of $362,147. The slight increase this year is due to new construction. Tonight places the property tax levy on public hearing. As you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, adoption of this item would then take place at your August 9th meeting, which would complete the budget process for this year.
Any questions for Mrs. Yarborough on the? And at this time, I'll open it up to the public. I haven't received anybody that would like to address us on this issue. Is there anybody from the public that would like to come forward and address us on this issue? And again, you'll have an opportunity again on the 9th if you don't wish to do that tonight. Seeing none, then we'll go on to the next item under new business. Item number 4, Ms. Ash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2018-055, adoption of the final budget for the fiscal year 2018-2019, be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. May we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The final budget of $70,092,846 remains unchanged from the tentative budget approved June 28th. The council again will meet on Thursday, August 9th to set the primary property tax levy, which will finish the budget process. With the passage of this resolution, the final budget book will be developed and made available online by early October, as well as physical copies placed at the library and the front desk at City Hall for any members of the public to review. An overview of the final budget, including the state budget schedules, will also be posted on the city's website following this passage. I am happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mrs. Yarborough? Discussion? So you're making it easy. In that case, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. This has been a very, I'll just comment that this has been a very interesting and in-depth budget season. I think we've come up with a practical budget. And I forgot, Mr. Newcomb, you wanted to talk to us about this. I apologize. Please come forward. Mr. Newcomb wanted to address us on this issue.
Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Andre Newcomb. You may with the Pearl Air, the concert or the music lesson. He was a man who fathered many children, and his wife pretty much ran him ragged. His mother-in-law made him into the pool boy, errand boy. And when finally, after many, many years, he decided, after doing one of her errands for her, the mother-in-law, to keep a little for himself. Well, she had him arrested. So here is a mother-in-law and a daughter who are taking a man who makes women look beautiful in the world of art and makes him into their dog. Now, in the days of the ancient, they said that spices were important because there were no refrigerators to preserve food, and women would be able to live and do much better, much longer, because they wouldn't have to cook so often. Well, that didn't all go so well because brassieres have silk straps. And if you can imagine what it is like for all day long to have that cutting into your shoulders all the time, you can wonder, why did women want to do this to men? Now, in today's world, they say that women are abused and women are victimized. And that is not what I see. This budget feeds off of a federal budget with huge deficits that are going to grow even more. We have a city manager and an assistant city manager and a finance manager, Mr. Felix, who never ever wants to take any of this to call, to talk to you people about what you are experiencing in life. This budget feeds off of a paper tiger, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get much worse. Your city library is becoming a daycare center. And the women that run that place are running men off. And it's becoming a babysitter palace. Knowledge is several thousand years old, but you want to treat it like a daycare center. In this budget, you empower the women to run the library, and they are turning the study rooms into private property, and they are playing games with the computers. I think that you need to reevaluate your personnel and how you talk to the citizenry about the status of money in this world, because it is not getting any better, and it is not very fair to be constantly humiliated by people who are being run over through time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Newcomb. We'll now move on to item number 5. Mrs. Calhoun.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2018-056, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Sierra Vista Unified School District for a partnership between the agencies, be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mrs. Yarborough, may we have the staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In your most recent strategic plan, City Council set a goal which included exploring a partnership with the school district to acquire or lease their recreational properties behind the Rothery Education Center. But this partnership behind you tonight has really been in the works for about 20 years. Throughout discussions, both the city and the school district agreed that the more we could partner as much as possible, it would minimize costs and maximize the benefits to the taxpayers. And we agreed to sit down on at least an annual basis to compare our revenues and expenses to determine if this agreement is balanced and to renegotiate the agreement and the terms as needed on an ongoing basis. And so this partnership agreement details specific agreements as follows. Schedule A sets forth that the city will sell fuel to the school district at cost. The city will continue providing school resource officers at no cost under Schedule B. The terms of facility use is detailed in Schedule C. And Schedule D permits the school district to utilize the city's HVAC technician in emergency situations and vice versa. Many of the significant changes happen in Schedule C regarding facility use. In that part of the agreement, the city agrees to allow the district to use at no cost all city sports fields, the Oscar Roon Community Center, Ethel Berger Center in the Cove, Veterans Memorial Park, Len Roberts Park, and Tompkins Park, their rentable spaces, the former Teen Center building, and the Centennial Pavilion. The city will rebate an annual amount of $28,000 to the school district and provide supplies to the schools that host the Kids World programs. The city will revenue share with the district by returning 20% of the net profit from Kids World and programs that utilize their facilities and charge a participation fee. In return, the school district agreed to allow the city to use at no cost their facilities, including the Rothery Center, Joyce Clark Middle School, all district elementary schools, and Buena High School. The school district further agrees to allow the city to assume the operational and maintenance costs and to invest in the improvement of the following facilities for the next 10 years at no lease cost to the city. All recreational fields and vacant land located between Avenida Escuela and Veterans Memorial Park, the tennis courts located behind the Rothery Center outdoor basketball courts, and the former teen center. Annually, the city will save approximately $118,000 in facility rental costs between Kids World sports program rentals and the annual rental of the former teen center. That amount will be retained in the Leisure and Library Services budget to invest back into the school district recreational spaces and to pay the $28,000 rebate. And again, if the city should be successful in selling the Kings Court property, that money would also be invested back into these recreational properties. The city would not receive just under $12,000 in revenue from use of the Cove for Buena Swim Team and school district field trips. And staff estimates approximately $26,000 returned to the school district annually based on fiscal years 15, 16, and 17 net profit averages from the Kids World programs and sports programs. And finally, I just want to say that with a partnership like this, both sides have to be willing to sit down and talk. And so I'd like to thank retired Superintendent Chris Hagerl for being willing to talk and discuss this. The Sierra Vista Unified School District Governing Board, which approved the agreement on July 10th, and all the district and city staff involved in bringing this agreement to you tonight. I had a call from Kelly Glass, the interim superintendent, earlier today. She and Deb Scott had planned to be here this evening, and a couple other members of the school board. Deb Scott unfortunately fell and broke her arm earlier, and so they wish to express their support of this agreement, how much the school district is behind this and excited about it, and that they're sorry they could not be here tonight. And with that, I am happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you. Questions or discussion? Yes, ma'am.
No question, Mr. Mayor, just a comment that I want to thank all those involved for pulling together this partnership and agreement. I think it's a good idea. I also think it's a good idea that you'll be meeting at least for the first couple of years annually to go over what's happened, pros and cons, and work out any issues that may come up. So I think it's a good plan, and I appreciate what you've done.
Mr. Mount.
Yeah, I'll echo Ms. Calhoun's sentiments. You know, obviously, the scope of this is large, and I know that there's some unknowns that are out there. But given the fact that it's a good step forward, and given the fact of what our school district is facing, if this is something that we can do that'll mutually help us all out as taxpayers, that we talk about community all the time, then I think it's a very, very good step forward. And I'm proud of you and your team for putting this together as much as I know the school district is proud of theirs. So good job. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Well, and echoing Craig and Gwen, good job on getting all this together. I know that was a big task. I just have one question. I noticed in the contract that the Performing Arts Center is not included in the facilities use. I just was wondering why.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Gray, the school district asked for that to be excluded because it operates as an enterprise fund. So they have to charge the cost of providing the services through the Performing Arts Center.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, before I call for the vote, I want Chuck, did you want to?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I mentioned the value of your strategic planning process, and just for the public's benefit, every 2 years the council meets and establishes a strategic plan, and this item, as well as CCOM that I mentioned earlier, were part of the direction that was provided by council through the strategic planning process, and gives us the direction to proceed with agreements such as this. And we appreciate your support of these types of projects as well.
Thank you, Mr. Patuchik. Anybody else? I just want to mention that I also, before the meeting, got a call from Deb Scott, the president of the school board, and she obviously expressed her regret about not being able to be here, but she was very complimentary to the city staff and all the hard work, and she genuinely appreciated our efforts. And when I asked her about future issues that we may want to work on, she was very open to that, and she thinks the new superintendent will also continue to work with us on that. So we have another bright opportunity to save taxpayers from the school district and taxpayers from the city a little money. So with that, if there's nobody else, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move to item number 6. Mrs. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2018-057, Amendment to Ordinance Chapter 94, Park Grounds and Properties, and declaring a 30-day public record be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mrs. Wilson, may we have the staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This resolution is to request an amendment to City Ordinance 9404, Park Grounds and Properties, which would allow surface-only metal detection in city parks. The current ordinance prohibits metal detecting of any kind in our public parks. A citizen request was received recently, which prompted a reconsideration of this language. I met with the Parks and Recreation Commission, whose concerns regarding metal detecting were due to the digging that may occur in order to retrieve any items under the surface. I presented alternative language to them for input, which would allow surface-only detection and would prohibit excavating objects, which they supported. And your approval this evening would allow the proposed revision to be made available to the public for review and comment for a period of 30 days. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mrs. Wilson? Thank you. Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. I've received no requests for call to the public, so I'll move on to comments and requests of council. Tonight, we'll start with Ms. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say I'm so excited that we're getting some more people on our commissions. We really appreciate your input that you put on that, and I think we're getting pretty close to having full commissions across the board. So that's really exciting for us. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Ms. Wolf. Mr. Mount.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, I know for some of us this will be our last major budget session that we're kind of going through. I know that from when I started 4 years ago, it's for me it's gotten a lot better. Maybe I've gotten to understand it a lot more and hasn't felt as overwhelming, but I appreciate the staff's patience. And as always, my peers and the mayor on council for their patience, especially as we kind of work through some of the more debatable issues. But I'm comfortable with the budget. I'm glad that we have some processes in place to readjust in 6 months if need be. But I think it's always a good thing, and I think the budget is probably the most important thing we do as council members. Echo Ms. Wolf sentiments. Thank you very much for volunteering your time to be on our commissions. It's good to see some familiar faces out there, and thank you for continuing to help us out along the way. And I hope everybody has a good week.
Thank you, Mr. Mount. I would concur with you that the budget is one of the most important things we do, and it does take a little while to understand how municipalities do budgeting versus other entities that we have all had experience with. Next up is Ms. Calhoun.
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Calhoun. Ms. Gray, Mrs. Gray.
Either one.
Either one.
Either one. I just want to say congratulations to the 4 people in our city that got chosen to be part of the 20 under 41s, I call them. But I think 3 of our council members and our assistant city manager, I think that's a great reflection on our city and what a good job that we do in bringing leaders in and electing leaders and hiring leaders within the community. So congratulations to you all.
Thank you very much. Now we move on to Mayor Pro Tem Ash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo the sentiments of the council members who spoke before me, and I'd also like to give a shout out to all the students who will be starting school in August, from pre-K all the way up to college or PhD. Best of luck and Godspeed to you all, including myself.
Thank you, Ms. Ash. I I also want to extend my congratulations to those who were selected by the chamber to represent the best of the 20 under 40 for the community. I'm not surprised that we had a number of them from City Hall. And I know probably about half of these people, and a lot of them are partners with us and other things we do in the community. So I think the newspaper probably hit the target. So I want to thank them for recognizing those great young folks. I also want to mention that the Miss Sierra Vista pageant, scholarship pageant, will be Saturday at 7 o'clock at the Buena Performing Arts Center, and it's part of the Miss America Scholarship program. So if you want to see some young ladies that are bright and are very talented, that would be a good event to go to. I'm also going to piggyback a little bit on the school comment. I believe school starts 1 August, which is kind of in the middle of the week. I think it's a Wednesday. And those youngsters will not be thinking about safety as they're going to and from school, early morning hours, that kind of thing. So I would ask folks, as you're driving into work, as you're driving around town, as you're shopping in the afternoon when school lets out, remember that those kids are out there and they're probably not thinking about safety. So I would ask you to help look out for our kids. With that, I see nothing else before the council. Meeting is adjourned.